Hello, my Mercurial mercenaries. This is a very off-the-cuff video. I was just sitting outside in the sunshine, drinking a beer, and thinking, I should really do a video for my Mercurial mercenaries. And then I thought, no, I should bask in what nature has to offer. And then I got a message from somebody who said that it was the 20th anniversary of the last episode of Seinfeld. And anyone who watches this channel regularly will know that I hold Seinfeld, the American TV comedy series, in very high regard. And he said that someone, and I should really go back and... Hang on. I can actually read his message. Hang on. I heard on the radio today that this week marks the 20th anniversary. I think it's not this week. I think it's today. It is actually the 14th of May. Marks the 20th anniversary of the last episode of Seinfeld. According to some tabulated findings of respected industry sources that were named but I didn't note, and that's the same sort of research that I do, the series was ranked as having the third best script writing of any TV show. And that's going to be the point of this video, my mercenaries, because I thank this private messenger, because you have given me a topic when I thought I was barren of topics. And I'm not giving anything away by reading a private message, because as I'm reading it, I'm making sure that it's not anything you wouldn't want read. It was recently ranked as having the third best script writing of any TV show. Now, I've got 2 points here. He then goes on to say, we didn't say what held the 2 highest spots. And then he says, any guesses? Wanting me to kind of pick what might be a better written show than Seinfeld. Now, this video isn't about Seinfeld. Although it's good to at least mark the fact that it's 20 years since it ended. And that's bearing in mind, I never watched it when it was on in its first run. I only ever knew of Seinfeld from box sets. Looking at my screen, my mercenaries, just this very second, I don't know if you can see it down here. Just here, my mercenaries. Margot, is it Margot? Not Margot. Margot Kidder has just died, by the looks of it. So there you go. That's a bit sad. She'd always be my Lewis Lane anyway. Lois Lane. Lois is a bloke's name. Lois Lane. So R.I.P. Margot Kidder. When you look into her life, she had, after the success of Superman, she actually had a tough time of it. Rough time of it. A rough, tough time of it. When someone in the media writes a list, my mercenaries, and they make a comment like, something's the third best written TV show of all time. And then we get into the thing where we can argue whether it's the third best. But my point would be, how do you define something being the third best? It's the third best. There's a few points here, because I would say, how much better is the second best written show than the third best written show? And what do we mean by best written? What does that really mean? The best written? Because once you apply this to other things, and obviously we're going to get on to talking about music, but once you apply it to other things, what would be the third best written book of all time? The third best written book. That's not... Is that the third best book? Or is it the third best written book? The third best written TV show. That's not the third best TV show, is it? It's the third best written TV show. So, what's the third best written song of all time? What's the best written song of all time? Do you see where I'm going here? I'm returning to a conversation I've had a number of times, which is, how much credence do you give to top 10 lists, top 50 lists, top 100 lists? And how much better is the #1 album in the list than the #2 album in the list? And how the hell do you differentiate? How the hell do you decide which one's #1 and which one's #2? My mercenaries. Or which one's #6? Let's try and open this up to the floor. Let's go on to Facebook here, and let's just type in When it comes to top 10 lists, how much better is the #1 album than the #2 album? Is the idea of a top 10 list not silly in the first place? And how much different is that silly first place to the silly second place? I like that. We'll go with that. When it comes to top 10 lists, how much better is that we'll publish that? We'll see whether anyone responds, my mercenaries. This could be a long night. Oh, there we go. Oh, boost post. I could press the boost post button, my mercenaries, and spend some money boosting it to a load of people who don't give a shit. Oh, let's get rid of that. Twitter. So, on our Discord that someone set up, which it's a bit sparse and barren, there are lots of people involved in it overall, but I understand that not everyone's on there all the time. People have got lives, and also people are on different sides of the world, my mercenaries. That's the problem here. But I put on there, let's just read what I wrote, because I was typing quickly, but maybe this will be... Discussion topic: Seinfeld, 20 years since last episode. That's not the topic. Topic is someone said it's the 3rd best written show ever, which got me to wondering, what the hell does that even mean? It's crazy when you read it back, isn't it? The 3rd best written, the 3rd best. How can something be the 3rd best written anything? So, topic: lists of things. How much value should you ever give to a top 10 list of things? Schmutik and I have had this discussion before. We have indeed. But how about it? The 3rd best written show. How better written would the 2nd best written show be? What does better written even mean? Schmutik says 3rd best, that's pretty Pacific. I'm nowhere near to have top any number of shows, not only regarding how they are written. It's not really about what your top shows are. It's about the fact that you can even write a list. And the fact is, let's face it, that we probably can quite easily write lists of things that we enjoy and things that we like. But when you read someone else's list of things, how much weight do you give it? Because I have given certain lists in my time weight. I've read through like NMEs. I used to do it in the 90s all the time. The NME would print their, I think, 50 best albums of the year. And I would try to make it my goal to listen to the top 10. Because the magazine and the reviewers there as a whole have decided that these albums are worthy of something. And the thing is, every year, and we've spoken about it before on this channel, we've got videos that last hours about it. Every year, Q Magazine or Pitchfork or Select or whatever, NME in the old days when it existed, would put out these lists. And lots of you would say straight away, straight off the bat, lists don't mean anything. Lists are just other people's opinions. Well, yeah, lists are just other people's opinions. But how far do we go with even listening to other people's opinions? Because I listened to a Mercurial album a couple of days ago. It's a great album. And I was sort of switched onto the band. And I now think, I could be a Mercurial fan. Definitely. And then you'll get someone who'll say, well, if you're going to be a Mercurial fan, you might as well just listen to Genesis. And then you think, it's just another opinion. See, it's hard to stick to the point here. What I'm trying, I suppose we're about opinions. We're all about opinions. How much do you value someone else's opinion? And I think I, on the whole, try to value. If someone comes up to me and says that they truly enjoy an album or a song or a film, I'll take that on board. But I suppose you have to take it on board with the weight of evidence behind it. If the person who comes to you and says that there's a great film, and you know that in the past they've just watched a load of shit, how much credence are you going to give to the fact that they say this film's brilliant? It's a tricky one, my mercenaries. Oh, look at that, my mercenaries. I reached 2 people with that post. Comment and you'll be in the video. It's like an enticement, my mercenaries. It's an enticement. Schmutik says, I'm having a hard time comparing. What's he got? Well, that's Monkey. Yeah, that's Monkey. That's the professionals. Oh, I see. He's he's just showing some random TV shows, and he's that's it exactly, isn't it? So Monkey, the professionals, and I take it that's MASH. Well, I can see because it's MASH, but it's in a mirror, my mercenaries, but it's MASH. How do you compare them? The thing is, my mercenaries, you probably could compare them, couldn't you? Because if you had to, and this is the conversation I've had with Schmutik before, Explosive Notes before, is I said that to him before. If you had to, you can do things. So we can have this discussion where we say it's all about opinion and it's about the weight behind the person who's spouting the opinion and how much credence you give to their opinions on things. And then we get into the conversation we're having now where I'm saying how much better is the 46th position than the 45th position. And it's like when you're talking about ratings. I remember in the old days of Crash and Zap magazine for and CMVG, get ratings for computer games. And you'd get a game would be rated like 84%. 84%. And I'd always say, that's so arbitrary. It's fucking stupid. How much do you rate Target Renegade? Oh, I'll give it 93%. It's very specific, 93%. How much better? Why did you give it 93%, not 92%? Well, I felt like 93 rather than 92. How much better? How much better is a 93% game than a 92% game? And then we're back onto that topic of you need all the different values because you'll get some people who will never give something a 10 out of 10 because 10 out of 10 is perfect. And once you give something perfect, you can never use that again because nothing can be better than perfect. So once you give one album, say a music album, a 10 out of 10, you've ruined your scale. Because if a better album comes along, you can't give it more than 10. This is my point. I've had this argument before with Mr. Floyd and various people. What the hell's wrong with it? If you give an album a 10 out of 10, and you say it's a perfect album, someone will say to you, how can it be perfect? Nothing's perfect. Brilliant. Brilliant. Let's live our lives like that, my mercenaries. Nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. Nothing has ever been perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. Nothing's perfect. So let's just eliminate the 10th number off your 10-point scale. Let's leave you with 9. Just 9. It's just ridiculous. Go on, discuss that. No, that's a different topic, really, isn't it? But that's why I quite like my clock. You know, because really, I could theoretically give something 11:59. Couldn't I? 11:59, just 1 minute off 12 o'clock. 1 minute off perfect if I wanted. On the other hand, like I just said, I have no problem with just picking an album like Grace by Jeff Buckley and just saying it's a 12 o'clock. There's no need for ambiguity here. It's 12 o'clock. In a list, though. Once we start listing things, all right? So we've got Revolver by the Beatles. And we've got Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. And we've got Grace by Jeff Buckley. And I'm going to say that I'm going to put Grace at number 1. And I'm going to put Revolver by the Beatles at number 2. And I'm going to put Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche at number 3. It's just disparate. It's just disparate. It's like putting Monkey at number 1. Monkey Magic, whatever it's called. Monkey at number 1. Professionals at number 2. MASH at number 3. LP Storytime has a comment. We'll read LP Storytime's comment. Just checking whether anyone's put anything on Facebook. Let's just check rather than ignore it. Bear with me. Comments and you'll be in the video. Silence. Silence. Silence, my mercenaries. Right. I'll tell you what, David Coverdale does post some great stuff on Twitter. He's probably the funniest. I mean, he only retweets shit. but he's the funniest bloke. Who'd have thought it? David Coverdale would be like the king of funniness on Twitter. Stephen G. Atkins giving an RIP to Margot Kidder. I hope you finally found some peace. True, like I was just trying to say. LP story time. Let's read your comment. LP story. Look how red in the face I look in here. Let's stick some different writing. Top 10 lists of fun, as it gives some insight into a person's taste. Very true. And I think I was touching upon that somewhere during my rant. There'll be girls will say to me, "Oh, that song's just great," and I'll think, "Yeah, that's fine, but you listen to nothing but Eurotrance." And then someone who listens to nothing but punk metal, like a Schmutik, Explosive Notes, will say this album's great, and I have to give weight to that as well and think, yeah, but your favourite bands are Napalm Death and various punk bands, so you give weight to it. Someone else who's a King Gizzard fan through and through will say this album's great, and it happens to me all the time on this channel. People are constantly going, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this, and I see the comments and I think they say listen to this, and I think there's a good chance that's going to be a psychedelic album, because they are massive fans of Tim Impala and King Gizzard. You just add weight to things. I've got my own. If I recommended an album to you, you'd have to listen to. You'd have to weigh up what I think. You know, because I've just said it, that I like Jeff Buckley's Grace, and I like Revolver by the Beatles, and I like Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. And you know I like Mercurial now. You know I like King Gizzard, and I like Tim Impala. I love MGMT. That's a bloody bit of a find. I talk about MGMT, and people have a go at me and say, well, I mean, they don't breathe their saliva down as they talk to me necessarily, but they'll say to me, well, where have you been for the last decade? And I think, what's it to you? I've been lots of places in the last decade. I've been with Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, round and round and round and round. That's fine. Do you know what, my mercenaries? If you want to spend a decade listening to one band, just do it. What the hell? As long as you have fun. But I decided, with this channel, to a certain extent, that I'd go on a musical journey. Making music and now listening to music too. And I want to go on it with you guys. And I watch some pretentious shit on YouTube. There are some, I mean, there are big channels out there. There are some big channels out there with complete dickheads running them. And I watch it. I watch it just like you guys do. And maybe some of you think I'm a dickhead. And maybe I am. I think there's a dickhead in all of us. Not a dick in all of us. There's a dickhead in all of us. Sorry, I just spat on my own glasses. How do you manage to spit upwards? Top 10 lists of fun, as it gives some insight into a person's taste. The fact is that giving numerical value to an opinion doesn't make sense. Giving a numerical value to an opinion doesn't make sense. That is the reason why a lot of people think we should never award scores to albums or games or films. Just write the piece, the article, the criticism, and leave it be. And a website that I look at, well, I used to look at more before I got completely swamped by having to do YouTube all the time, but I used to watch a gaming, I used to read a gaming website, which is relatively recently, over the last couple of years, abandoned scoring and just went for essential, recommended, nothing, and avoid. Fine. They say without the score, a 7 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, you have to actually read the article. But they couldn't just do that, could they? Because they still gave it an essential, a recommended, nothing at all, or avoid. Which is avoid, saying nothing, recommended, essential. You've just created a 4-point scale. CMVG used to use a 5-point scale. Your Sinclair, I think, used a 10-point scale, and Crash Magazine used a 100-point scale. All you've done is reduce the number of points in your scale. Fine. If you're going to do that, you might as well just do that. I mean, what's wrong with... See, that's why I went with this. I was originally... Oh, someone somewhere has just done something. Dale Palmer's commented. Right, we'll read yours out in a second, Dale. When I was talking about albums, and I think it was during the Mercury Awards, first of all, I settled upon, do you know what, the easiest way to do it, the easiest way to do things is just to say, you listen to an album and you just really give it that. Was it all right? Was it crap? Someone else? Was it crap? Was it good? That encompasses everything. That's all you need to do. But even I got sucked up in that. Well, what if it's better than all right, but it's not quite good enough to be, you know? And then when you get to this, and this is an analog scale of Mercenaries, which I thought like the analog clock rather than digital. The analog clock. This can be anywhere between there and there, my Mercenaries. This could be 11:59 and 50 seconds, my Mercenaries. But what makes an 11:59 and 40 second song better than 11:59 and 39 second song? It's a bloody minefield, my Mercenaries. I disagree with reviews that use a rating system, and I believe that opinions can't be boiled down to such a basic interpretation of a person's thoughts. Our minds are too complex for such a method. Whether the experiences in our life, the generation we inhabit... Oh, that's terrible. I should be belching as I talk. Our minds are too complex for such a method. Whether the experiences in our life, the generation we inhabit, or the forming factors of our musical taste outside of these two major developmental connectors. I'm going to read that again. LP Storytime. Our minds are too complex for such a method. Whether the experiences in our life, the generation we inhabit, or the forming factors of our musical taste outside of these two major developmental connectors. Right, so, because experiences, the generation we inhabit... okay, choose some rather large words there. LP Storytime. It's all right, I'll let you off. Yes. You might be more intelligent than me, but shh. This leads back to the idea of a top 10 list. A top 10 list is your taste at that particular moment in time. Agreed. See, I keep stopping you, but just because I want to put my own spin on things. But that's true as well. And I think the last time that me and Schmutik and I, Explosive Notes and I, agreed on the idea of top 10 lists was I was trying to say there is a reason to have top 10 lists. They do have value in some respect because it is someone's opinion on what they think is good and what you should listen to. And why not? And I've said this before. If I don't hear people's opinions on what I should listen to, I won't ever listen to anything. Any magazine review. I used to buy games as a kid because of what the magazine said. And you'll get people saying to you, take no credence, don't give them no time, reviews. If you give reviews no time, it means you've got to listen to everything in the world. Everything. In case you miss some. No. Listen to someone you respect. They'll tell you what to listen to. Listen to it. You can still disagree. But Schmutik and I, we kind of agreed to differ. Because we said there's nothing wrong with a top 10 list as long as you time and date it. Mercurial number 6 is top 10 TV shows of all time as of 2000 hours 14th of the 5th 2018. The list at 2030 hours might be different. A top 10 list is your taste at that particular moment in time and can change drastically in the span of 5 hours or 5 decades, depending on circumstance. Top 10 lists should be seen as a fun exercise and an extension of someone's personal preference. If people take a top 10 as anything more than fun, they don't understand the point. If the person who stated that a show as the third best written believes their opinion is devout to the commentary and the discussion of television's evolution, they're wrong, just as much as the person reading it and leaving a hate-filled comment in response. That's true as well. That's what happens, right? So someone will say Seinfeld is the third best written show of all time. And then the biggest Seinfeld fan will say, how dare you? How dare you? It's the first best written show of all time. How dare you suggest MASH or Cheers is better written than Seinfeld? I mean, then you think, what are you arguing about, guys? What are you arguing about? I mean, I've currently got Breaking Bad on at the moment in a different room. Fantastically written show. Is it? Where does that fall on the list? Is it the second best written show of all time? The first best written show of all time? Is Fawlty Towers the fourth best written show of all time? Opinions are opinions. They are what make talking with other human beings fun. People take them far too seriously. We are all complicated and intricately built to change our minds at any given point. So don't hold someone too accountable for an opinion. That's the end of this long and pretentious rant. Good luck with the video. Thank you. Good luck with the video. I would say that it's okay to say that top 10 lists and opinions are just fun. But you can have a weight behind a top 10 list. And sometimes the outcome really does mean something because the outcome is a winner. So it's something like the Mercury Prize that I try and cover every year. It's okay saying that the list's just an opinion, doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, I hate using cliches like that, but at the end of the day, a group of supposed esteemed individuals with knowledge of the music business get together in a room and fight out of 200 original entries. They fight out which is the best album of the year. The best. And with that, there's a winner. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Hang on. Let me just ask him. Before I'm just going to read this out. Do you want me to read this out in a video? Masking the names, obviously. Let's just check with him. Right. What else have we got here? Dale Palmer. If I put together a top 10 list, are we on the screen? Yes, we are. If I put together a top 10 list of my favourites, which is a difficult task to begin with, I don't think there would be much difference between number 1 and number 2. Yeah, you get my point. You get my point, Dale. How do you differentiate between them at all? See if Dale answers that. He might not. He might just think, number 6, you're a pretentious arse. At the moment, actually, don't say actually. At the moment, LP Storytime and I are both being pretentious. I highlighted it, but you can't see it. It's under my face. It's just here, the word pretentious in his post. I enjoy being pretentious. Pretentious? Moi? Sometimes you can be pretentious, right? But it means at least pretentious isn't being stupid. Oh, haha, I thought you were replying to the video I'm currently filming. Got no tweets. Got any tweets? Has anyone tweeted or... Oh, what was that? Has anyone tweeted a reply? Oh, haha, I thought you were replying to the video I'm currently filming. What's that? I'm not actually from the future. Anyway. Thank you, Matthew. I give up, Matthew. I'll read your post out anyway, but I thought you were replying to this. Finally caught up with your videos number 6. Loved the Mercurial one. Clicked on it right away. Sat and sang along with the album. And he mentions he's got a personal connection to Mercurial, not sexually. I'm not actually from the future. I think Stephen Hawking hosted a party for that, but nobody came. Yeah, that's hysterical. I mean, all right, that's hysterical. That's hysterical. Now, will he be able to tell sarcasm from that post? Now, this is all going on, my mercenaries. It's all going on down here underneath the Mercurial number 6 logo, luckily, because it's got his personal name on there, so it's probably best that it's hidden away. Right, let's see what Mr. Floyd has to say, my mercenaries. It'll be something that disagrees with what I've been saying. Every time I see this, I see my fat face. I mean, you know, fine. You know, this is all on there, look, my mercenaries. It's all there. It's all going on. Look at this one.
Hello, my
This is what you can get.
mercenaries. I've been playing a lot of
this is what you can get if you
games recently. Some of you.
This is what you can get if you sign up to this channel, mercenaries.
Now here's one for you. Minimal information, right? Hardly any information whatsoever.
This is just
Where
fantastic.
in the world am I? There's no clues. There's no clues. Where in the world am I? Can you solve this one?
This is what you're missing out on, my mercenaries.
Answers on a postcard below. Over and out.
Hang on. Wait a minute. What's Mr. Floyd going to say? I've just done my top 10, though it's not really, as I couldn't choose only 10, though half of them never move out. I know what you mean. I keep saying my top 10 would change depending on the hour of the day, the mood, the wind, the rain. But Jeff Buckley's debut, or only album, only true album, would always be in the chart. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden would always be in the chart. The other places, they're susceptible to change though. Choosing between number 1 and 2 can be simple aggregate scoring. I'm not sure about that. Can it? How much better is number 1 than number 2? Isn't it a little arbitrary? I'm going to spell this wrong now. Arbitrary. We'll go with that. Yes. Are you live again, Cease? Yes. Yes. Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live. Matthew, you're a funny bloke. You scared the living Christ out of us waving that knife about though, mate. Lots of people mention the knife. How they're very frightened when I keep sort of drumming with a knife. I think you'll find, my mercenaries, that I'm very safe. I think we've done 40 something videos now of me. I mean, I didn't drum with a knife in all of them. Let's just say I drummed with a knife for 20 of those videos. 30, probably, about 30 videos. So I've drummed with a knife for basically 30 hours. And, you know, I've only cut myself twice. So, what's that percentage? Hang on. I could probably do that in my head. That's not... I could do that in my head. What's 2 out of 30 in the percent? Hang on. So, I've only cut myself 6.6% of the time. That's not so bad, my mercenaries. Don't get so worried about it. Right. What have we got here? That's a Cheers picture. I'm not supposed to be looking at a Cheers. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's just. Is anyone going to tweet? Is anyone going to tweet a response to my damn tweet? Holy crap! Really, you bastards! Only joking. You bastards. The silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. Matt's World is the guy who is messaging me down the bottom of the screen here where you can't see it. Matt's World. I purposefully tuned in because of the Mercurial. Interesting, your thoughts on the album sounding a lot like early Genesis. You're on the wrong channel. God. Click on General. Click on the General tab. Click on the General tab. Right, Dale Palmer. I said to him, how do you differentiate between them at all? Between putting something at number 1 and something at number 2? It's like trying to separate pieces of paper. I think it would come down to the favourites I would think of at that particular time. Favourites are always subject to change without notice. That's it. So we're having a consensus here, my mercenaries. We're having a consensus. If you time and date a top 10 list, then it's valid. Are you live again, Stacey? Yes, I am live. And we're not allowed to watch from behind the curtain? No. Just think, you could do it with Super Chat and get people paying to ask you questions. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I don't even understand what that means. I could be a supervillain. To a certain extent, I could be a supervillain. I could probably be that person who makes you go into a lift, an elevator, into a lift. I could probably be the person that presses that button that makes the floor of the lift just do that. And is it bad that I'd probably have no qualms about doing that? I mean, when the lift's up in the air, I mean, not ground level. If you do it at ground level, the doors don't even... They just will sit on the ground. I mean, when it's up there, about 40 floors up. And you'd know it as well. You'd know it. When I said to you, okay, Podrick Floyd, that's the end of our meeting. Feel free to use the lift, the elevator. As you went into that lift, elevator, and as the doors closed, you know something was up because you'd look back at me at the far end of the room because you're going now in the lift and the doors are closing. So as the doors are doing this, yeah? As the doors are doing this, you just see me, as the doors are about to there, you just see me over here stroking a white pussycat. And you think, damn! And you'd quickly sort of star jump so your hands and feet are against the walls. Problem is, my mercenaries, I greased them. I greased those fucking walls before you got in there. What are you going to do about that? I've strayed from the subject a little bit here. Okay. I think we're running out of steam. Mr. Floyd's got a good point. I miss a trick again and again and again and again and again. I do nothing but miss tricks. And what we miss tricks? Little Miss Tricks. Was there ever Little Miss Tricks? The Mr. Men and the Little Miss books? Was there ever Little Miss Tricks? Not sure. I keep going off topic here. Oh, Rob Wheatley's joined in. Finally. Good. Because I thought you might have done it via tweet, but you haven't. You've done it via Facebook. That's good. Brilliant. Brilliant. I was talking a load of bollocks there. Nick James. Nick James says, it's a tough question and needs thought. It does. It does, Nick. Nick, it does. I suggest, I've said this before, but I do suggest, if you'd like, and this is probably doing, Nick might take offence to this and think Nick might take offence at this and think I'm doing him a disservice, but if you like a gentle, relaxing this isn't a gentle channel, not really. If you like a gentle, relaxing watch, a gentle, relaxing view, watch Nick James's channel. He does as he's about to say here. Oh, and can I use this on question and answers Saturday? Q&A Saturday? Yes, of course he can, because I find that Nick James's Q&A Saturdays they're just beautiful. They're so relaxing. I watch them. I listen to MGMT's little She Works Out Too Much. This is the same thing every Saturday morning, okay? Saturday morning, get up, do a bit of exercise, have a cup of coffee, listen to She Works Out Too Much, and then I watch Nick James do his Q&A, and it's relaxing, it's brilliant. I'm going to say to him, of course you can. Of course you can. What happens when you watch it is you'll find that I've never sent him a question because I can never think of anything to ask. But Evil White Clown Punk sends him plenty. But Evil White Clown Punk is our collective celebrity commenter. Rob Wheatley. Rob Wheatley says, oh, I love it when I've got a Seymour Skinner. Seymour, and you think, oh yeah, someone's done a really good comment here because it's long. And longer, so I've heard, longer is always better, my mercenaries. It's all pretty superficial. A list of my top 10 albums would probably change depending on how I felt on the day. See, we're doing it again. Maybe that's it. It's just a snapshot in time. Yes, I think we've definitely had this conversation before. I think if we trawl back through my videos, we'll probably find we've had this conversation before and we came to this outcome before. But it doesn't matter. Back to the original fact that the person who sent me the message on the phone, it was a topic for today because Seinfeld is 20 years since its final episode. So it's all good. Maybe that's it. It's just a snapshot in time. Having said that, my number one album is usually Sgt. Pepper. Not necessarily for the music, but for the memories it holds for me. Agreed completely. And it's important in the history of recordings. And to make sure I don't forget it later in the list, once I've thought of 10 other albums I actually like more than it. I know what you mean. 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 Because, like I said about the sense of smell being the best time machine, when I smell, specifically to me, when I smell Jack Daniels, and it's hard to just say it now because it sounds flippant, but when I smell it, it's a reality. When I smell Jack Daniels, I am transported back to being 17 again. I really, really am. It happens. It's real. It's real. And if you don't believe what I say, just feel. And music's the same. And you'll find that, you know, why is it that Grace by Jeff Buckley is my favourite album of all time? Or what I consider the best album of all time? Is it because it is the best album of all time? I'm telling you it is. But is it because it is? No. It's because it meant something to me. And it's a time machine for me. Dummy by Portishead and Grace by Jeff Buckley are time machines for me. And there'll be youth who are watching this now who Nonagon Infinity or Celebration or whatever will be a time machine for them. And it will forever take you back to the moment where you were lying on that beach with a cute girl or whatever it was. First beer, whatever it was. Music is a time machine. I think I want to end there. So I think I've come to a conclusion. Music is a time machine. Let me know what you think, my mercenaries. I know a lot of you can't be involved spur of the moment like this because you've got lives to live. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Try and comment. Try and comment. And if you get the chance, try and have some discussions on the Discord because someone was so kind to set it up. It's a shame to let it kind of deteriorate. That's why I'm gonna try and I've told you before. I'm gonna try. Oh, I had a name for this. I had a name for this. The live DKG Custom came up with it. The live-ish. The live-ish. Live-ish. What was it? I've got disc cover. This was live-ish. I think it was. Yes, we're going with that. Live-ish. Live-ish. Hyphen. No, semicolon. No, colon. Oh, that sounds a bit medical, my mercenaries. Live-ish. Music is a time machine. Thank you very much, my mercenaries. On that note, over. Thank you, everybody who did participate. Over and out.